Let me tell you something that most people over 60 never hear, not from doctors, not from trainers, not from television. If belly fat refuses to leave your body, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you lack discipline. And it's definitely not because you didn't suffer enough on a treadmill. It's because the rules changed and nobody told you. For decades, people were told the same lie. Move more, eat less, do more cardio. And maybe when you were 35 or 40, that still worked. But after 60, your body is playing by a completely different biological rulebook. And here's where things get uncomfortable. A massive long-term study following more than 12,000 adults over nearly 20 years uncovered something that stunned researchers. Not confused them, not mildly surprised them, shocked them. The people who dedicated hours every single week to cardio, jogging, cycling, sweating through pain, lost almost no visceral belly fat. Almost none. Meanwhile, another group made one dietary shift, with zero extra exercise, and reduced dangerous belly fat by 73% more than the cardio group. 73%, not cosmetic fat, not water weight, not scale tricks. Visceral fat, the deep fat packed around your organs, the one doctors fear the most. And the most brutal part, these people didn't work harder. They didn't exercise more. They didn't punish their joints. They just ate differently. Now your brain is probably firing objections already. You've heard diet advice before. You've followed plans that promised miracles. You've walked treadmills until your knees complained louder than your mind. You've bought foods with names you couldn't pronounce. And still, the belly stayed. That frustration isn't imaginary, it's logical. Most programs were not built for bodies over 60. They were built for younger metabolisms and then lazily copy-pasted onto everyone else. What you're about to hear is different for one simple reason. These are not trends. They are not influencer opinions. They are protocols surgeons use when they need fat gone fast. Surgeons don't recommend methods that might work. Their patients don't have that luxury. Before major operations, visceral fat has to drop safely and predictably. Lives depend on it. That's why the system you're about to learn is structured, ranked, and ruthless. 7 steps. No fluff, no guessing. Each step builds on the last. And when researchers tested all 7 together, people over 60 lost an average of 4 inches from their waist in 30 days. Not 6 months, not next year, 30 days. But here's the detail most people miss. Nearly half of all that fat loss came from one single step. Just one. When you understand why that step works especially well after 60, you'll realize why most doctors never mention it. It quietly contradicts everything people were taught for decades. But before we start, pause for a moment. If you're watching this, you care enough to look for answers. So tell me, how old are you and where are you watching from? Type it in the comments. I read them, and they matter more than you think. Now let's begin properly. Step 7. Strategic meal timing windows. We start at the bottom, not because this step is weak, but because it prepares your body for everything that follows. This step has nothing to do with what you eat. It's about when you eat. After 60, your metabolism no longer behaves consistently across the day. Your body processes the same meal very differently in the morning compared to the evening. This isn't motivation, it's hormones. When adults over 60 eat late at night, insulin spikes higher, stays elevated longer, and shuts down fat burning. Research shows insulin sensitivity drops close to 40% after sunset in older adults. High insulin sends one message only: store fat, protect fat, do not release fat. It locks the doors to your fat cells and throws away the key. In controlled tests, 2 groups ate the same foods, same calories, same portions. The only difference: one finished eating early evening, the other ate late. 12 weeks later, the early eating group lost more than double the belly fat. Same food, same calories, different timing. To apply this without overthinking it, finish your final meal at least 3 hours before sleep. For most people over 60, that means dinner by 6 or 7 in the evening. Eat heavier earlier. Eat lighter later. Fuel the fire when it's burning, not when it's dying. That alone improves fat loss signals. But it's only groundwork, because the next step modifies what happens inside your gut, and that changes everything. Before we move on, if this information already feels more logical than anything you've tried before, hit the like button. It pushes this message to people who need it but don't know where to look. Now we push deeper, because here's the uncomfortable truth. Meal timing alone will help, yes. But timing without the right internal environment is like unlocking a door to a room that's still sealed from the inside. This is where most people over 60 stall. They change when they eat, but their body still refuses to cooperate. Why? Because the gut is in charge far more than anyone realizes. Step 6. Prioritizing soluble fiber intake, not fiber in general. Not whatever happens to be on a cereal box. Soluble fiber. This one detail separates people who slowly shrink their belly from people who stay stuck for years. Soluble fiber behaves completely differently inside your body. Instead of passing straight through, it forms a thick gel in your stomach and intestines. That gel changes how fast sugar enters your bloodstream, how much insulin gets released, and how your gut bacteria behave afterward. A long-term study tracking more than 1,000 adults revealed something that almost sounds fake. For every 10 grams of soluble fiber added per day, people lost nearly 4% of their visceral belly fat. No calorie changes, no exercise changes, no restriction, just fiber. And for people over 60, this becomes even more powerful because aging guts lose beneficial bacteria at alarming rates. That loss does two things. First, hunger signals get louder. Second, fat storage signals stay turned on. Soluble fiber feeds the bacteria you still have. When those bacteria digest fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds travel straight to your liver and send a clear command: stop making new fat. At the same time, they signal your brain that you've eaten enough, not bloated full. Calm, satisfied full. This is appetite control without willpower. The strongest sources are simple and familiar. Oats, beans, lentils, apples, flax seeds, nothing exotic, nothing trendy. The key mistake people make is trying to cram fiber into one meal. Your gut bacteria don't work that way. They respond best to steady feeding throughout the day. Breakfast oats with flax, beans added at lunch, an apple mid-afternoon, 25 grams spread calmly across your day. But now comes the brutal honesty part. Most people think they're doing this right. They sit down to a meal that looks healthy and feel proud. But looks don't shrink bellies. Numbers do. And this is the exact point where disciplined people quietly fail. You don't actually know what's on your plate. That soup felt light, but was it? That salad seemed clean, but how much oil was really there? Did you hit your fiber target, or just hope you did? Guessing feels harmless, but guesswork is how progress dies slowly and silently. That's why this part matters. If you're serious about shrinking belly fat safely after 60, you need clarity, not motivation. This is where Cal AI becomes useful, not as a gimmick, but as a tool. It does one critical thing well. It removes guessing. You take a picture of your plate, that's it. Calories, fiber, protein, carbs, fats, everything laid out clearly. Not perfect, but close enough that your decisions finally make sense. And here's why that matters psychologically. When you see your fiber number climbing through the day, you stop wondering if you did enough. You know, certainty reduces stress. Stress reduction lowers cortisol. Lower cortisol means less belly fat storage. That chain reaction matters more than another walk around the block. The barcode scanner alone saves people hours of quiet frustration. Scan, log, done. No staring at labels. No Googling calories again and again. No excuses masquerading as confusion. Once clarity enters the picture, consistency follows naturally. If you want that clarity, the link is below. Use the free trial, test it, and decide for yourself. No pressure, just data. Now let's get back to the system, because the next step targets something even more dangerous than poor tracking. Step 5. Eliminating hidden inflammatory foods. This is where traditional advice collapses completely. You can eat healthy and still block fat loss entirely. Inflammation is the silent killer of results. Visceral fat produces inflammatory chemicals. Those chemicals then signal the body to store even more fat. It's a feedback loop. More fat, more inflammation. More inflammation, more fat. Cardio doesn't fix this. Calorie cutting doesn't fix this. Only removing the trigger does. Researchers tested what happens when people removed 4 food categories for just 3 weeks. Not forever, 3 weeks. Seed oils like soybean and corn oil. Added sugars hidden in processed foods. Refined grains like white bread and pasta. Conventional dairy. What followed surprised even the researchers. Inflammation dropped sharply. Waist size shrank. Energy levels rose. People reported feeling lighter, clearer, even calmer. Why? Because inflammation is exhausting. To apply this, you don't need perfection. You need awareness. Read ingredient lists. Seed oils hide everywhere. Switch to olive oil or avocado oil. Choose whole grains or skip them temporarily. Replace milk with fermented options like yogurt or kefir if tolerated. These swaps don't feel dramatic, but biologically they are. They reduce the noise in your system and allow fat-burning signals to finally be heard. And the next step tackles what happens inside your muscles, which quietly controls your metabolism more than any food ever could. But that's where things start getting serious. I'll pause here. This is where everything separates. Up to now, you've been removing obstacles, inflammation, timing mistakes, gut confusion. That alone already puts you ahead of most people your age. But now we move into the steps that actually force your body to change. No negotiating, no hoping, no maybes. Step 4. Optimizing protein distribution. Most people over 60 are eating protein in the worst possible way, even when they think they're doing fine. Here's the pattern. Tiny breakfast, mostly carbs. Average lunch. Huge protein-heavy dinner. That pattern quietly destroys muscle. And if you lose muscle, your metabolism shrinks, even if the scale doesn't move. Muscle is not about looks at this stage. It's metabolic currency. Every pound of muscle burns calories all day long, even while you sleep. When muscle disappears, visceral fat moves in to replace it. After 60, muscle loss accelerates unless you actively block it. Studies show adults over 60 lose about 1% of muscle per year by default. Do nothing, and belly fat wins automatically. Researchers compared people eating the same total protein, same grams per day. The only difference was distribution. Those who spread protein evenly across meals preserved muscle and lost dramatically more belly fat. Those who loaded most of it at dinner did not. The formula is simple and non-negotiable. Your body weight in pounds equals your daily protein target in grams. Then divide it across 3 meals, not snacks, not shakes stacked on top of weak meals. Real protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Eggs, Greek yogurt, fish, poultry, lean meat. Protein must be the anchor of every meal, not an accessory. Do this correctly, and your metabolism stops sliding backwards. Now we enter the top 3. Step 3. Strategic carbohydrate cycling. This is where people get confused and screw it up. Eliminating carbs entirely after 60 is a mistake. It tanks energy. It disrupts thyroid hormones. It increases stress hormones. Long-term it backfires. But constant high carbs are just as bad. The solution is cycling. The goal is metabolic flexibility, your ability to switch between burning carbs and burning fat. Younger bodies do this easily. Older bodies often forget how. Carbohydrate cycling retrains that mechanism. The protocol that works best is brutally simple. 2 moderate carbohydrate days, 1 low carbohydrate day. Repeat. Moderate days around 120 to 130 grams, coming from whole foods. Low days around 50 grams. On low days, increase fats to compensate, olive oil, nuts, fatty fish. This pattern prevents plateaus, avoids hormonal crashes, and teaches your body to access stored fat again. When researchers tested this approach in adults averaging their mid-60s, waistlines shrank fast. Not slowly, not subtly. Fat burning became efficient again. But now comes the hormone that almost no one talks about. Step 2. Increasing adiponectin production. This hormone is the difference between people who fight belly fat forever and people who never seem to gain it. Adiponectin tells your fat cells to release fat and tells your muscles to burn it. High adiponectin, easy fat loss. Low adiponectin, stubborn belly fat. Aging lowers it. Belly fat lowers it further. That's why so many people feel trapped. But certain foods directly increase adiponectin, not supplements marketed loudly. Real foods, magnesium-rich foods, omega-3 fats, extra virgin olive oil. Studies show increasing magnesium alone can raise adiponectin over 20% in weeks. Fatty fish raises it even more. This shifts the entire hormonal environment. Now your body isn't just allowed to burn fat, it's encouraged to. And finally, the step that dominates all the others. Step 1. Time-restricted eating. Done correctly, this single step was responsible for nearly half of all fat loss in the long-term research you heard about earlier. And yes, people talk about it constantly, but most people do it wrong. The protocol is 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating. But for people over 60, timing inside that window is everything. The most effective approach starts the eating window early. 1 hour after waking, you eat. 8 hours later, you stop. Not at night, not late afternoon drifting toward evening. Early. Why? Because cortisol rises later in the day, and cortisol tells your body to store belly fat. When food is eaten during high cortisol periods, fat storage accelerates. When food is eaten earlier, insulin sensitivity is higher and fat burning is unlocked. In clinical testing, people following early time-restricted eating lost double the weight and inches with the same calories. The biology is ruthless. During fasting, insulin drops, fat cells open, growth hormone releases, fat breakdown accelerates. This process cannot happen if food keeps showing up. Most people adapt to this within days. Hunger fades, energy improves, mental clarity returns. That's why surgeons recommend this protocol to patients. It works fast, predictably, and safely. Now step back and look at the full system. Timing, fiber, inflammation control, protein distribution, carbohydrate cycling, hormone activation, time-restricted eating. This is not about suffering, it's about alignment. Cardio fails after 60 because it ignores hormones, inflammation, and muscle loss. This system does not. Start small. Step 7. Master it. Add 1 step per week. Do not rush. Consistency beats aggression at this stage. Now I want to hear from you. Which step hit you the hardest? Which one are you starting this week? Have you tried time-restricted eating before and failed, or never tried it correctly? Drop your experience in the comments. And if you found this valuable, subscribe. Not for motivation, but for systems that actually work. Come back in 30 days and tell us what changed. That's how real progress is measured.